is related to crystallization, drying, and evaporation. Okay? Like that. Okay, science lovers, pasok! Okay. Like that. Okay. So I have to review not review, I want to add the problem. Oh guys, really diba? Okay. Kakaloka. So, listen very, very carefully. What's this? Okay. Chemical Engineering Board Examination 1987. So this was based on old chemical engineers licensure examination regulated by the PRC. Okay, a liquid extraction vessel. That's why I don't solve, because it will not become a challenge if I will solve first. Okay, a liquid extraction vessel is used to separate a solute, capital S, wow, from water, W. Okay, the solute is transferred to an organic solvent, capital O, that is immiscible in water. What do you mean by immiscible? It will never be dissolved. So insoluble. Okay, like that. So meaning if it is equal for water, that is hydrophobic substance. Again, review the basic theory. And if it is dissolved to water, that is hydrophilic substance. Review the technical terms. Given the process diagram below, calculate the following. Letter A, the organic solvent required to produce a water product containing 0.5% of solute. Wow. The fraction of the solute in the feed that is recovered in the organic solvent product. Okay. So in here, this is very unique because the given is shown in a drawing or an illustration, something like that. So it doesn't reflected in the paragraph, because that is more difficult. If you put that in the paragraph, we don't know the streams meaning the flow, where it goes out, where it comes in. But if there are problems like that, it is a plus factor, because we know the direction of our feed and then our product, something like that. We know the streams as streams, streams. Okay, just like the distillation, we have the streams like the distillate and the overhead product and the bottom product and the feed, something like just like that. Also in extraction or in most of the physical and chemical separation processes. So, meaning to say, overall material balance is very important here, and also the component balance, and sometimes, not really all the time, the energy balance also. Okay, but in energy balance, usually you can have the momentum transfer, the fluid mechanics, fluid flow, but in most of the times in chemical engineering problems with respect to physical and chemical separation processes, okay, concentrations involve or solubilities that would refer to the component balance, especially in mass transfer. Okay, mass transfer, and then this extraction, crystallization, because it's focusing on the solubilities and the concentrations of your streams or your flows. FLOWS, not flow, FLAW, because that is in mistakes, imperfection. Again, katunog siya, rhyme, RHYME. It's not flow, but flow. Okay? Flows and streams. You got a point? It's very important to note that one. Okay? The direction where your fluid or liquid flows, right? Okay. Now, I need to illustrate now because it's in the drawing. So meaning to say, in the actual board examination, chemical engineers licensure examination, this has been reflected in the test paper, the drawing itself. Okay, because it is patterned there. A specific question in the 1987 chemical engineers examination. Okay, so how can we do this? So guys, build your foundation in overall material balance, component balance, and energy balance. Okay, and don't forget the scientific laws and scientific theories involved in it also. Especially if you are dealing with this particular topic, what are the scientific laws and scientific theories involved? Who are those scientists discovered this? Something like that. When I was in college, I started develop that one. Though in high school, I memorized already some. Okay, who discovered radiation, radioactivity, something who is the father of modern chemistry, who is the father of physics. Okay, and then when I go to college, I still have that culture and attitude. Nobody teaches me to do that. It's my own initiative only. Okay, when I was in first year college, it's already in my brain cells. So I have now already the stock knowledge. Plus the new topics that coming in taught in first year college. So it will become more. Just like a pool of knowledge. Okay, Pool. Meaning a place of information in your brain cells. And then it was developed, improved, something like that. And then it become, shall we say, plenty. Wow, plenty. What do you mean by plenty? Several? Plenty, several, or shall we say, many, or multiple. Okay, those are the same meaning, right? Several, plenty, many, and multiple. Meaning more than one. You get the point? So that's the same thing, right? Okay. So like that. So you should understand and memorize, including the scientists involved in that particular topic. Of course, I don't tell my classmates for that because that is my internal culture as a student. Maybe they will hit me. Okay, they will punch me because I will add jobs for them or I will add tasks for them because they don't like something like that. Okay, so I have my own way of doing my study and know how I retain the information in my brain cells, and they have also their own something like that. At a young age, of course, we are only focusing for ourselves to pass the subjects like that. Okay, it is just only at this point that I do this to share the academic information because I want to share. Okay, because I'm done in studying those stuffs like that. Okay, and it's good to share. Okay, something like that. But I was in college. I don't tell, "Hoy Maria, mag-memorize ka ani ha para madaghan tag matun-an." Wa ko ningon ana. I just keep it on myself at a very young age. Okay? And then I developed the culture when I was in college, from first year college to fifth year college. Okay? In taking up Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering. Okay? Like that. Okay. So, I need to take the belt. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh! Nahurot good siya, guys, ang akong pentel pens. How can I do that? Can I do it by using just a ball pen? Can you see clearly if I write in ball pen here? In my explanation later. I don't know. Nawala dyan ko sa screen. My gosh, nawala sa screen. Sorry, mga friends. Okay, nawala ako sa screen. Mga classmates and batchmates of my elementary education, high school education, and college education. Okay, mga colleagues in my previous countries work in Taiwan, Abu Dhabi, UAE, State of Qatar. Okay, like that. In Jubail, in Al-Kubar, something like that. I've been there also. Okay, and now presently here. Okay, so kung nanonood kayo, just keep tuning, guys, for my YT channel. Okay, nakakaloka. Okay, ito, we try this one. Kung naabag yung di-shake ko ing charot. Oh, wow! Hanak gyapon siya. Vague. Vague meaning unclear or unreadable. Okay? Vague. Right? Opaque. Wow. Talaga. So, it's gonna be like this, 200 kilogram per hour. Wow! 200 kilogram per hour, you should know that directly. This is a mass flow rate. Ganon. Okay. Every data, or let's say, expressed or declared in the problem, you should label that immediately in your brain cells. For example, there's a unit, this is but in your mind only. Okay? Silent in your mind. Just like playing a game. When you say, oh my gosh, but it's in yourself only. For example, like this. You say, oh my God, there's an solubility. At least you solved it in a funny way. It's not boring, something like that. It will help a lot also for positive, good vibe for yourself. Rather than thinking too much, difficult to solve. So ano lang ko pag one. So it's not like that. Treat that as funny as it is when you solve problem. Fun, F-U-N. You enjoy it, there's a probability that you get it because you enjoy what you are doing, something like that, okay? Positive vibe in solving problems, okay? Use that also because it's also boring all the time that you should be serious. And let's, for example, you can relate that to actual scenario in your home, like that. Maybe people are always like that before. Oh, mura man siya kuan, turbulent, hanggang ganan, di ba? If I, for example, in a normal life, when I power the water, and then I found out that the water will, shh, oh my gosh, turbulent, like that. But it's only in my mind. My sister cannot hear it. My mother cannot hear it. My father cannot hear it. It's only in my mind that I'm playing such fun in my course in chemical engineering. So that would help also for your good motivation to understand the basic and natural phenomena in pure science. Take it and treat it as funny as it is that you are enjoying with. Okay? Not only, I have to pass this one. Okay, we'll study. Because you force yourself on without loving it. So if you force yourself without loving it, then chance is you cannot recall that after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years. Okay, for example, if I ask you, what is the formula of density? Something like, I asked a 60 years old chemical engineer now in front of me, and he cannot answer that. What can you say? Diba? Density is very basic in elementary education science. So I could say, nano na licensed chemical engineer man siya. Uy, hindi siya kibog sa formula sa density. Even to 60 years old siya. Okay? Because if you just memorize and understand basic formulas, it will be retained in your brain cells. Okay? Just like this, I'll never memorize the formulas I taught you. This was only in my college. I'll just intensify, I'll just modify. For example, pressure. Pressure equals force over area. But I memorized this when I was in elementary. Something like that. Okay? Then, when you reach 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, you could still remember that the formula of pressure is equals to force over A until you're deaf. Okay, that is if you are a legit engineer or a legit, what do you call this, professional taking up BS math or BS chemistry because it will really retain to your brain cells. Sure. Basta mga basic reading nga formula, guys. I tell you promptly for that. Okay? And for example, if I will meet a licensed mechanical engineer now, and I will ask him, sir, what is the acceleration due to gravity? Okay niya. In kapungutan namin siya ka-answer, may kalain, lagi siya katubag, engineer biya siya. Okay, ang imong i-defense, dugay na kitong panahon na. Hindi na mo siya i-rason kasi it's very easy. 9.81, you cannot memorize. Imagine, 9.81 meter per second squared, you cannot memorize. And you are an engineer. Though your age is 60 years old, 70 years old, it's impossible you cannot recall the constant. Okay? The acceleration due to gravity constant. Meaning, either you are not studying by heart and you're not loving it. You're just loving it for the purpose of passing it. Okay? You are not just studying. You should study for the purpose that you can apply that in your day-to-day life. Not just passing the subject just because your parents wanted you to become. It's not like that. We need to pass that in order we can use that in our day-to-day life in certain experiences that we meet someday in the real world. So that is really the most significant purpose and goal of learning information, not only for science, all. Okay? It's gonna be like that. Okay? Again, it's not only passing the subjects, but we need to understand to apply that in our day-to-day life in the real world. And I thank you. Okay. Going back to the yoga. Diba? Di ba guys? Ganon. Magpunta sa coffee ito para ma-activate more akong brain cells. Di ba? You know, I love doing this because I can recall mga information, mga knowledge in my education, and a portion of my masteral studies before. Okay, but I did not finish my masteral studies, unfortunately. But, lang. Okay, oh my gosh, oh my gulay. Hello guys! Mukha sa akong brown bread. Wow! Nakakaloka. Wow! Let's eat brown bread. Oh, 16 minutes. This has been my culture only. I'll never eat rice. I'll just eat low carb, you know, brown bread or yogurt, something that has a low, you know, fortified sugar, low calorie, something like that. Okay. Oh my gosh. So tinduan na nahadlok jud ko sa kuan, myocardial infarction. Wow. And cerebral infarction. Those mga cardiovascular diseases. Okay, ganon. Diba? Tigulang na baya ta, we need that to exercise physically. Okay? Ganon. Charorot. Okay. Atong ipadayon ang atong litanya. Okay. 200 kg per hour. Okay? Akong gisulat. Okay. Mo ni siya. 200 kg per hour. 200 kg per hour. So this is our feed. It's here, right? And the arrow is directed to the outlet in the, you know, positive side, in the right. Okay, not in the left. Okay, so our solubilities, we have 0.14 kilogram, 0.14 kilogram, S per kilogram. S per kilogram meaning to say, this is the solute. Okay, so I must put here S is equals to the solute. And then we will review also in chemistry, what is a solute? Okay. Solute is the amount of substance that will be dissolved in solvent. And your one identification of a solute, it always be dissolved in the water. If not dissolved, it will be floating in the surface of your solution, or else it will become a coagulate in the bottom of your container or precipitated at the bottom of your container. It could be either three. It will float, it will sink to the bottom of your container, and then it will be dissolved completely. Okay, so that is your solute, and expected to be lesser than your solvent, lesser in amount. Okay, that's the basic, you know, connotation regarding, connotation, basic understanding of solute. Uy, pasensya na talaga mo, gamit yung mga terms na pang journalism. Okay? Medyo kalikayan guys, really. My gosh. Okay? Now, our water. Our water is 0.86 kilogram. 86 kilogram, W per kilogram. So, Sir Soteeo, why you put per kilogram? Meaning to say, this is the kilogram, a portion of your feed, of your 200 kilogram per hour. That's what it means. Okay? And then, in the other part of your feed, we have also the solvent, organic solvent. Letter O, organic solvent. Or just solvent alone, it could justify, right? Solvent. Oh my gosh. W is water. Ganon. Like that. So, our is M1 kilogram. Ay, kahit ni ini guys ha. M1 kilogram per hour. Kani, I will teach you something. Because mura kag ma-confuse sa usahay. Me also, ma-confuse ko ani before when I was in college. I will teach you something. Okay? Okay, 1.0. Okay, 1.0 kilogram. Okay, O over kilogram. Diba? Wait ha. You will be confused guys. In what aspect? You will be confused. Diba? Niingon siya guys na 1 kilogram over kilogram. But in the sample problem, in the board examination 1987, chemical engineering board examination, okay, it states that 1 kilogram of organic solvent over kilogram. Of course, as a student, as an examinee, malibog yun siya kay kilogram is the unit of a mass. Okay? And then, oh, how come kilogram to over kilogram? So, you should analyze that the bottom, the denominator kilogram, is your total feed out of that. For example, if you have 10 kilogram and you have 200 kilograms, it will be 10 over 200. That's why it become point something. Okay? And times 100, it is 100% of that. And that is your percentage by mass of your feed. Something like that. But the way it was represented in the illustration, it looks like a little bit confusing. Something like that, okay? And you should be smart enough to detect, okay? So having all the basic concepts, mixed in your mind, you have to remember, percentage by mass, percentage by volume, gaganan. Ay, ito siya kalimti sa General Chemistry Lecture 2, okay? Second semester, first year college, okay? Like that, okay? So, muna siya natabo. So, 1 kilogram over kilogram. Now, 1 ang gibutang, guys. Ay, siya i-interpret as mass alone. So, this is 100% of organic solvent. That's why it is 1. You get the point? You get the point? So, 1, meaning this is pure organic solvent that is not identified yet, unknown. Because in this problem, this is not specific. We don't have to identify the organic solvent, the chemicals, the organic liquids, what's flow in there, what goes up. We are just trying to determine and calculate the amounts of our streams, our feed, something like that, our output, and we are not particular what's the specific chemicals involved in here. So we are determining only the amounts, the concentrations, unless our problem specify that it's benzene, acetone, chloroform, like that, cyclohexane, like that, organic solvents. Okay, it was not specified, meaning ay glablay mong ulo. So this is just only hypothetical, meaning not mentioning the specific type of solvent or liquid. And the specific here only is the water, W. But the O and S, you don't know. Okay, because S is a solute, meaning to say there must be for example, a salt after that be extracted in your extraction equipment. Salt, that is solute. Or sugar, that would be your solute. Or any kind of soluble substances or insoluble substances. Something like that. Okay? So, man siya mahitabo. Okay. Now guys, if you are very, very expert in overall material balance, me, I'm not. I just claim it, I'm not. Okay? So, if you just master in this, bisag piyungan pa nimo siya, makuha ra gyud nimo siya. Okay? Charot. But that's not me, okay? So to those who are very, high at mathematical ability, high IQ, they can really solve this very quick. Really. I have classmate who is very quick. Shout out to Engineer Timoteo Idolantes. Okay? Like that. He is the professor somewhere in, last 5 years ago, 10 years ago in Cebu Institute of Technology University. He's taking up his BS Physics in University of San Carlos, Masteral. And as far as I know, he's also teaching science, chemistry and chemical engineering in UK, United Kingdom. Okay, that is our, shall I say, the top number one always in our class. Okay, before. Right? Okay. Siya ganahan og physics, unique, I love chemistry. Something like that. Ilan na ako i-mention ikapila ko. Okay? Siya dyan ang among number one, okay? Basta pasok ko sa banga. Charot. Charot. Charot lang. Okay? So I have to say honestly, I'm on the top 10, okay? For ranking in chemical engineering according to grades. Okay, but not in overall, in total engineering, because there's civil engineering, mechanical engineering. I'm talking only specifically in chemical engineering in our class. Okay? So it's gonna be like that. If we try to rank something like this. May muna sa mga bugiro kay ko. Okay? Nakakaloka. Mukhaan sa kong brown bread. Okay, lami kayo explain ko. Mukhaan ka brown bread. Wow. Okay. Delicious and yummy. Low carb brown bread. Tara na. Tara kape. Wow. Tara na, tara kape. Mukhaan sa ko guys ha. Muna na akong dinner. Diba? Okay. Let's go back to business. Okay, guys. Let's go back to business. You can proceed further. Okay. Any questions so far? Please raise out or open up your questions, your objections, or let us say, if you want to object some of my terminologies and I am wrong, then it's very, very open so that I can change my job. I can change my video description in my caption, something like that. Due to ganganan, with bigger apology for the technical errors that I presented a while ago regarding this topic, blah blah blah, so and so. Okay, because okay, ana gid na siya. Okay, you don't have to be perfect, but you need to point out your weaknesses. Okay, in doing things. Okay, like that. Okay. You may point out your weaknesses and also your strengths like that. Anyway, we are not applying for a job. That we are always positive every time. You always stress out our weaknesses, our strengths, but we never say our weaknesses and flaws and imperfections because you are not applying for a job anymore. So in the real world, you have to be balanced. You have to say your weaknesses and your strengths to become a balanced person. Okay, just like balanced chemical reaction. Okay? Ganun siya. Nakakaloka. Tapos guys ha, kaya ako yung pangita ang pentel pen that is clear. Okay? Si kung pangita sa mga pintil pinaklaro. Okay? Okay, this one. So, this one. Our feed will be this. Okay? Take a look. So, take a look at me now. Okay. Your product will be 225 kilogram per hour. 5 kilogram per hour. And then, X2, andyan na naman tayo sa mga ganito. X2 kilogram sec S over kilogram. Okay, 1 minus X2, chararat. Okay, kilogram O over kilogram. And then we have the mass 3. I may explain something also. Okay, M3. Okay. Your M3 will be kilogram hour. What's this? Unknown. Kilogram hour 0.005 005 kilogram solid kilogram. Okay, like that. And then we have also the solute. Oh my gosh. So in here guys, here the solute is 0.5%. Automatic, your solvent will be 1 minus 0.005. Okay, even though it was not mentioned, because it's always like that. Solvent, amount of solvent plus amount of solute is equals to 1 in terms of mole fraction. Or in terms of mass fraction, it's just the same. Sometimes small fraction, sometimes small fraction. Pero maorigin na siya per me. For example, x1 plus x2 is equals to 1. Okay? Or you can put other variables. y1 plus y2 is equals to 1. As long as you will declare that your y1 is the liquid, your y2 is the solute, and you will play around somewhere along the way in your solution. Okay? Not necessarily that it's always x all the time. Okay? Get the point? Okay, muna na siya may tabo. Okay. So your question here required, what is being, it's in the product side. Because it's mentioning the 0.5% of, saan siya? Solute. So, asking for the M3. Okay? And actually, guys, this is also very confusing. Because if try to level this one, this 200 will be your M1. This one will be M2, M3. Actually, this M3 will be your M4. But anyhow, let's just follow this. Okay? This is just have the same principles man talaga siya. Pero if you want to be precise, there are 4 streams, right? 2 streams in the feed and 2 streams in the product. Then how come you are labeling only up to 3? You get the point? It should be M1, M2, M3, and M4. Your flow rates or your mass flow is involved in it. But abi kinami given ang M1, wala na siya gisunod ang M1, M2, M3 for ang sequencing sa numbering. Okay? Di ba? Nakakaloka. Dapat M4 siya. Yeah. Kung tinudon yun nato siya, I'm not really objecting the way the question is being presented in the board examination. I'm just saying that it should be the best way to be technically precise that your 200 will be your M1, like that. This one will be your M2, this one will be M3, and this will be M4. But the M2, you have the 200, M3, you have the given. In that way that the students cannot be, maro dyan kayong mga questions sa mga examination, right? Okay, never mind. Okay, so that the students can easily detect, ganun na. Ganun. Ang M1, M2 musulod, mugawas ang M3, M4, ganun siya. Okay, but in here, imbalance kaya siya. M1, M2, M3 na walay M4, yung upat ka buok streams. You got the point? Abi kinamay given ang usa, dili na butangan og M4. Kakaloka. Diba? But that's only for me. Okay, but it's okay. We can solve this also by the normal way of solving it. Okay, just the way only how we declare something a little bit slight confusion for, especially for students, examinees. Yes, of course, because this is an examination. Okay, they need to trick the students or examinees so that they can regulate the passers normally, right? They don't want 100% will pass in that examination. They project only 70% will pass. 80% will pass. Normally, we will try to do this catchy situation or declaration of the data or units. So it's up to the students that can really detect immediately what's the discrepancies or inconsistencies, just like that. Okay? So, or else, everybody will pass. Okay? Muna ilan yung giging ani pod. Okay? Nasa sila rason, di ba? Okay? But anyhow, that's only minor thing. Okay, important we should understand the mechanics and how to solve. Okay? Di ba nakakaloka, no? Okay? Never mind. Okay. So, awang ipangita ni ining higayuna, the organic solvent required, mo based lang sa atong question ha. So, M3. Kaya gilabilan man dito siya sa questionnaire nga, mao gini siya ang illustration. Unless you will be the one to illustrate. You can have your own attack of how you illustrate based on your analysis. But in here, the question statement yun siya ang drawing, o sinitabo. So, ayun na lang supaka. Okay? Ganon. Okay, so, like this. Now, take note guys, another confusing moment. I'm just telling you the truth because this is my weakness. Okay? And it should not be that case pala. Parang ganon. So, siguro, if nakuha din ako siya ng principal before, siguro mas mataas pa akong score. Okay? But, it's just happening already. Okay? No problem. Okay, so M1, M1 here is kilogram per hour. Don't be confused. This is only a unit. You get the point? Kung imo gini siyang tinudon, guys, this is 0 kilogram per hour. Because you don't know the value of mass flow rates of M3. Butangan dyan mo siyang 0. Iwa ka kabaw. Kung di ganyan mo siyang butangan 0, mahimo mo guna siyang 1. Nakakuha ka na mag-cancel ka og unit. Diba? I-treat man mo siya as 1 kung wala siya value. Dili man 0. Nakakuha ka. Diba? Na kay mga equations. Pressure equals force over area times, let's say for example, resistance is equals to length over the thermal conductivity and let us say the area. If we assume area is equals to 1, di ba dili mo butang ang numero ang area? Di ba? Maoras sad na ang declaration diri. Kilogram per hour na mabutang ang numero. So, some students will interpret this as 1 kilogram per hour. And most of the students, majority, will interpret that this is having no value pa. Okay, simply as M1. Okay? So, to make it straight, treat this as 0 muna. But be careful. When you multiply a 0 to a certain variable, it will become undefined. Okay? Undefined or indefinite. Okay? And if you multiply 0 also to another quantity, it will become 0. So you will never treat that 0 in the solution proper, but you will treat that 0 in your mind only. This is gonna be 0. This means this is not having a value yet. Because if you treat that as 1, there's already a value already as 1. You get the point? Muna siya yung mga tricky moment. Okay, ako mabitik ko ano sa una, sa college pa ako. Pero sige lang. Okay, ganon. Kaya magtuo ko usay nga kanang, for example, M3 nga ni. Ako na siyang i-treat as 1 kilogram per hour. 1. Okay. Tungod na nang mag-cancel ka, mahimong 1 ba, kanang imong tupad, mo na mawa siya. Dili man baya na siya 0. Sabot mo. Okay, mo na mawa yung value. Kato akong example, resistance is equal to length over thermal conductivity times the area. In a scientific approach, scientific assumption, you will treat area as 1 squared meter as your basis of calculation, as your scientific basic approach. If there's no length and width in your system, there's no thickness. So, 1 meter squared. If you substitute that 1 there, okay, 1 times thermal conductivity, it will become the same value as the thermal conductivity. They will never put that as 0. Okay? So, it's always 1. Now, if you try to apply that concept here, also in the feed, supposedly this is also 1 kilogram per hour. This one. But this is only the unit itself, meaning this has no value pa siya. Okay? Or 0. But take note also, if you treat this as a 0, do not include the 0 in your computation. Only in your mind. Na wala pa siya value. Nothing. Okay? So, ang anak ba? Okay? Muna yung simenta ko. You know, guys? So, balik ka sa extraction. This is an example of liquid-liquid extraction. Okay, you have the feed stream, and you have the product streams. Your product streams are normally the raffinate, okay, the solvent part, and you have also the extract, the solvent part. Now, your feed is composed of minimum of 2 immiscible or other miscible liquids. Basta minimum good siya of 2. Okay? Then 3, it would be okay. 2 or more. But if it is only 1, it will not be applied for the extraction principle. Okay? Because that's just very easy. Normal OMV lang siya talaga. But in here, di ba daghan? Okay, daghan man nga liquid diri ari, organic solvent plus water, ganun siya, chuba-chuchu. Okay? It's not one only that will flow here. Okay? Lahi man ang kuan heat transfer. Though duha siya, pero yang agianan lahi-lahi. Okay? The other, for example, the acetone is in the counterflow and the feed will be the water. Their outlets and inlets are not the same initially. But in liquid-liquid extraction, they are originally in combined as feed, just like in distillation. Okay? So that's the difference between the, the heat transfer and the fluid flow sometimes. Okay? Kay separate good siya. Okay? Though naasa siya, usually separate good siya ang flow. Or one only ang flow. One liquid. In fluid mechanics. Okay? Or else, kung duha mo sulod, then imo siya i-plus, something like that. But in here, dilinan mo siya buhaton. Because there is specific mole fraction or mass fraction or volume fraction or percentage by mass, percentage by volume, and percentage by mole. It's always 3 if you're studying chemical engineering in basic chemistry. It's always 3 in your component balance. Again, percentage by mass, percentage by volume, and percentage by mole. And you should know this exactly. The mechanics, how it behaves, how can it be used. Okay? And I'm sure you will pass your physical and chemical principles and chemical engineering only. Okay? I cannot guarantee with the general engineering because general engineering are not in science. Okay, but these two, you can guarantee to pass. If you know really the basic, you understand. Okay, bisag lisod-lisodon siya, makuha gyud nimo ang yang kuan. Easy to average nga problem solving. But above average difficult, marunong ka kay, siyempre lisod ba ya? At least naa kay easy to average. Okay, plus theories din bingo. Out of 100, you can get 80 or 72, 74. And if you add your score, then bingo, pasok sa banga. Okay, labi na bright kag math or general engineering, imo yung gidako dito imong score. But for me, no ha? For me, gamay ra dyan siya ang general engineering. Okay, that's what I'm pointing it out. Okay? Kaya usually, engineering students mamundo sa math. Because most of the students who took up engineering are good in math. It could not be denied. 80% up are good in math. Only few that are not good in math. And I am one of those. Okay, I'm not good in math. But I've just developed something like that through acquired knowledge by making too much efforts. Something like that. Buhis buhay talaga siya. Every day, practice solving, let's say 100 problem questions like that. Dili-dili ala tool. And then plus theories. Okay, for almost 1 year of review. Okay, ganun siya. Okay. Huwag man ko dive, in fairness. Okay? I was engaging the normal process of review. In fact, reviewing center plus self-review plus books review from previous databases questions. I bought books for that. Really, because I know it's very difficult for me to pass for the general engineering if I will never do this. I'm not good in math. Mga strategy ba? Okay, but nobody teaches you to do that. It's on you should have an initiative. Okay? Nobody will tell you, "Huy, buy these books." Nobody. Even your parents will never do that for you. Sure. Okay, if they do that for you, they will pay money for that and they will be happy if they cannot give money for you. It's additional expenses from them. Unless you will ask and demand from them, "Ma, Pa, I will buy these books." If you never say that, they will never also give money for you to buy that books. Okay, it's called initiative. Okay, and resourceful. Okay, you can do that by yourself. Nobody teaches you to do that. Okay? You get the point? Muna siya. So, better good siya. Kung hindi jud kay kamaayo, just like me, I'm not good in mathematics. So, by general engineering, book review, katong mga 10,000 solved problems. Grabe no, 10,000? But I'll never solve everything, ha? Grabe naman. Okay, dito ako sa mga una-unahan. Okay? Okay. Grabe na sa ganito, 10,000. Hindi mo na ito mahurot. Okay, basta ang point lang, Jude, you should buy engineering previous engineering examination database questions. You can buy that in Philippine National Bookstore. Okay, then plus self-review and through classes reviewing center. So, kana siya. Okay na kayo na siya nga basis na more or less magpasadyo ka. And then if you want pa further, positivism, prayers, long preparation. 1 year is a long preparation, right? Adequate preparation. Plus, kato kung ipang tudlo ninyo, kato mga understand, then memorize, maximize. Okay? In your memorization, you should maximize, not limited only to this. Extend, explore out from the back, something like that. Okay? Itudluan ta mo ana. Then another also way to pass is to limit your, useless time. Okay, not really useless time. For example, if you are doing the review, you should not go to the to the video key bars. You will not go to Desco. You will not go to watching movie. You will cut off watching teleseries. You don't watch movies really, as in zero. In my part, but I don't know with others. Okay, I really cut off everything and focus to your study from morning to midnight. Okay, when I rest, I'll just sing inside my room, in the kitchen. I'll just sing because I love singing. That's it. That's only. Okay, dibirit lang ako ng dalawang kata. Okay na, fine. Something like that. Okay. So, ganun siya, para-paraan talaga siya. Okay, ganun siya ang mangyayari if you really want to pass. Okay. So, how much more yung mga yung mga working student, right? So, okay. So, their time will be, will be consumed. Okay? Because only time for few studying. Okay, but most of them are really academically achievers and good. But due to the time, less time in studying, so they cannot get also the same as what as ordinary students get. But not all, but generally that would be happening, okay? Because full students have so many time, but these non-academic scholars or working student, for example, working in the morning and studying at night and then working at night, their time really is less compared to those full students. Okay? Unless you are very, very smart, intelligent, but even if your time really is not enough, something like that. Or if you are just lucky because that is the fate given to you by God, then you will pass. Even though lack of preparation or anything, if it is really the plan of God to pass, then you will pass. Muna siya mga blessings from the Lord our God. There are also few like that, ha? Not all. So I'm talking man siya of general, not on the certain specific, sa may tabo. General man siya kung giingon, okay? So kadaghanan mo pasar sa ana imong mga gamiton. Okay? So going back to the overall material balance. Okay, guys? Any questions so far? Wala. O, diba? Overall material balance, ganun. O and B. Oh my boy, O and B, diba? Dili lagi kung makakog mga acronym do. Sa 1 second lang, kung makita gid kog mga litra, press ani OOMD. Just now I make my own acronym. Oh my boy. It's just 1 second and I make an acronym. So if you have a talent like that, also practice that in your day-to-day life. If you if you see words, letters, and then you can make also your own acronym like that, it would help a lot also, especially you students there, you're studying in college. If you see like this, you can create your own acronym. It will help a lot on your studies also. Okay, for example, GHI. Okay, TSI. Dito kayo mamununaan ba? Mo ni din siya. GMA. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Ganon. Greater Manila Area. Okay? GMA. So you can really have acronyms by your own self. Get the point? Pero dali lagi mo may bawaan, di ba? Okay. So OMB is equals to the, okay. Now, let's do individually the balancing by, let's say, the flow rate first. Okay, meaning the masses or volume, but in here, this is mass, these are masses, okay? Okay. So, 200, our feed, plus M1 is equal to 225 plus M3 equation 1. This one, linear algebraic expression. So, 200 plus M1 is equals to 225 plus M3 because what going in here and what going out there. And this is input is equals to output. It's just because you don't have an accumulation, you don't have a recovery and generation, and you don't have consumption in your process. So all of those quantities are zero. You have no loss in your somewhere along the way if you're mixing. During the mixing, there's no loss, there's no heat loss, there's no energy loss, and everything. So you will say only input is equals to output, meaning continuity equation or steady state flow. Or steady state chemical reaction. So, imo na sa nang masuti mo na it involves law of conservation of matter, law of conservation of mass, and law of conservation of energy. Makakita na ganin mo mga imaani, apply na nimo ang tulo ka laws in general chemistry lecture. Okay? Ganon. So, kay equate man siya. Okay? Equal sign meaning equilibrium or steady state or continuity, something like that. Okay, now this is your equation 1. Now, there are two unknowns. Okay, and then what is being asked is your M3 because this specifies that. Okay, this is gonna be the, okay, the organic solvent required to produce a water product containing 0.5%. So the 0.5% is our identification that is in the product here. So 0.005, it's in here, right? So this is gonna be your M3 here, okay? Like that. Since you are trying to find it out, then this will be your quantity to be find out, of course, normally. So you will say M3 is equal to, because that is your being, to figure out what is that. So you need to have only one quantity to solve. You say M3 is equal to, because there are two quantities in your algebraic expression. So go to what is being asked directly. Go to what is being asked. This is also a technique in solving problem. Go to what is being asked directly and then evaluate and investigate one by one the quantity involved in that equation, and each quantity look for a basic formula na ma-involve siya, then ma-solve din mo siya, then substitute mo siya. Mugin na siya para may problem solving. Okay? Ayun pasagdaing yung equation mo na yung ani lang siya because this is not simplified yet. Okay? So go to what is being asked, for example, in here, and then is equal to blah blah blah. So and so, and then go one by one. Ganon. And then you have to find it in the table, in the graph. Ay, jud mo pagdali. Kaya gusto jud nyo makuha, damonon mo maglisod. Okay? Because magdali-dali jud mo. Okay? Ganon. Okay. So, in here, we need to solve for M3, and this is algebraic linear expression. Meaning, this is not containing exponential form. Okay? Linear lang talaga siya. This is not a polynomial. This is not binomial. And this is not monomial. This is not trinomial, quadronomial, and suba-chucho. This is only algebraic linear expression. Okay? Ganon. Data, values, numbers with variables or letters in it. Okay? But there's no exponential. Okay? Like that. So, it's gonna be M3. So if you get transpose in the transpose chuba-chucho, the crisscross multiply, and the multiplying both sides to a certain quantity are very useful in algebra. These are the three techniques. Number 2 technique na po. Okay? So, kinigid siya permi ang gamiton para ma-simplify ang equation. Multiply both sides to a certain quantity so that ang habiling gamay ra. Okay? So that you can troubleshoot what is being asked. Number 2, crisscross multiplication. And you multiply that one Okay? And the third one, transpose, chuva, chu. Okay? Ang positive, mahimong negative. Ang negative, mahimong positive if you transpose to the left. Ganun nga na siya for me ang algebra. Basta, mo deal mo algebraic linear expression. Okay? Kuha, copy. Okay, now. M3, anaragid siya. Ato yung timan-an, ipasok na sa itong brain cells. Okay, mga students? Ganun siya. Okay. And so i-reverse mo siya sa akong part before when I was in college. If I see like this, ako yung direlate, no? Kasi natabon ako sa college. Okay. So, if I will say an equation like this, okay, 200 plus M1, this is an example, but there's a lot of equations in engineering, right? Okay, is equal to 225 plus M3. Since what is being asked is in the right, I will reverse that first. Because that is equal, right? You can reverse that in any orientation. It could be in the left, it could be in the right. It is still equal. That's why it is an equilibrium or a steady state or a continuity equation. If you can see equal sign in the middle of your algebraic linear expression. Okay, now I will reverse this because I need to solve for the M3. I don't want to transpose to negative chuba chuchu. I don't want negative. Really, when I was looking, I don't like negative as my unknown. That's why I need to rotate this into 225 plus M3 is equals to 200 plus M1 so that I can have an M3 already. Because there's a possibility in this equation I may be wrong during my transpose moment. Okay? So it would be better for me. That's only my style, ha? It's my convenience. I'm just trying to confess and teach you a little bit technique on it. You can follow or not, it's up to you. Okay, I will just reverse this because the M3, if you reverse this, is positive. And you are looking for the positive M3, not the negative M3. Okay? Muna akong reason sa una. Nika-reverse na ako, kay equal naman na siya. Mag-compute din ko. Transpose, chuba, chu. Oh, ganyan. So we will do that here. Okay, i-reverse na to siya ang 200 plus M1 is equal to 225. Look, maura ko na siya, God. Kung taas kag IQ, maura man ginadjapon siya. Ako lang yung gi-show so that we can understand what is really the best way. Okay? Regardless how long will it take. Okay? Regardless of how long will it take, could it be taking a long time or less time? And just taking it the most safe to do that. Okay? So that we will not involve negative, chuba, chucho. Okay, now, this one I will transfer the 225 and M3 in the left. So, M3, nakakaloka, di ba? Nakakaloka ka, Jun. Umujo ni meta po sa mga engineering, okay? So, M3 plus 225 is equals to M1 plus 200. Take note, it is very easy to solve for the M3 here if you reverse. So M3 is equal to M1 plus 200 minus 225. This is your equation 1. M3 is equals to, what's this? M1 plus 200 minus 225. Then these two are numerical figure, then subtract that one. The 200, mahadlok po ka kaya mo, result ani negative, don't be afraid because there are still unknowns. Okay? Don't be afraid. Leave that as that. Don't touch pa your equation because it doesn't matter. Maybe the unknown are bigger and then it will become positive later on. Okay? Don't be afraid. Okay? Something like that. So it's gonna be M3, chararat. Kaloka. Okay, guys. M3. Okay. Mulisod lang ni siya guys akong i-specify kaya mag-involve na biya ka mga chemical formula. Here, don't involve chemical formula and don't involve balancing the chemical reaction. Okay? So M3 is equals to M1. So 200 minus 225, this is negative 225. Without using the calculator, it's very clear, right? So negative 25. Okay, this is equation 1. Kakaloka. Diba? Okay, so it's gonna be 200 minus 225. Okay. Ganun siya. Wait, guys, ako mga pitil, pinahurot na yun siya, guys. M1 minus 25. So this is our equation 1. To solve for M3, which is being required in the problem, is to solve first for the M1, or you don't have value of M1. Okay, now I will teach you the theory, if you can remember. But you know, this is not very applicable, but if we try to make technically precise, we need to follow this finding the degrees of freedom. Wow. Grabe. Okay, maujud ni siya guys. You need to troubleshoot ng mga technique bitaw nga dili common. Okay, so you need to determine the degrees of freedom. Wow. Degrees of freedom, just like you have to get the FBD, meaning force body diagram. Just like in physics, in in taking or in discussion of force, work, distance, in motion, something like that. Free body diagram, asa may tabo ang mga forces. But in here, degrees of freedom, or DF, capital DOF, degrees of freedom. The degrees of freedom will be the number of unknowns minus your number of equations to be used. Okay, now if your unknowns are 2, it is supposedly understood that your equations to be used is also 2. When you subtract the number of unknowns to the number of equations, it must be equal to 0. So that is your degrees of freedom. If it is not 0, then that is not solvable. Wow. Solvable, my term. It cannot be solved if your degrees of freedom is not 0. You get the point? So meaning to say, the number of unknowns will always equal to the number of equations used. Okay? Because it is dependent for your equations and formulas also sometimes. Something like that. So this is only generally, because there are also sometimes really that can be solved only by just only one given. Okay? Especially water. For example, water at energy loss. Yung saray given. Yung naman ay mga at standard conditions, then you can easily get the heat energy of water. Even though wala ka siya yung mga given. You get the point? So you know the specific capacity of water, 4,186 joules per kilogram Kelvin, mga ganun siya. Or 1 calorie-gram per degree Celsius. And that temperature is mentioned there. Though you don't have the mass, now, assume your basis of calculation as 1. Maugin na siya for me ang technique class. If wala na siya yung mga mass o mga volume, i-assume yun mo na kay basis of calculation. Okay? Muna yung technique. And then you can obtain the value of your heat energy. Usually, sometimes 1, sometimes 100. Okay? Dealing with volume and mass, usually 100. Dealing with area, usually 1. Especially in practical electricity. Okay? Always 1 dito siya sa mga resistances, ganun. 1 meter squared. Katong sa mga sa katong mga topic dito ng electrochemistry, daghan kay nga topic dito, di ba? Electrochemical cells, electrochemical potential. Wag yun siya mga specific resistivity, conductance, okay? Ganon. Inductance, capacitance, like that, resistance. So, electrical engineering, right? Or electricity. So, mauna siya ang hitabo kung wala given ang mga area. You know why? Because, guys, electricity are always dealing with a cable or electrical cable. Can you expect to compute the area of a cable every time? Di ba dili mo siya makompute? Okay? It's impractical to compute the area of the cable. You will just determine the length, but you'll never know the width. Of course, we know the width of your electric cable is also your diameter of your opening of the end point of that cable. But it is very impractical to do that because it's very small only, especially the instrumentation cable, the yellow, the green. Gamay kay siya circle sa iyang sa iyang input. Ang length taas kayo, yung mag-area din ka. Length times width. And then assume that the width will be your diameter. Kaya mo man na siya per me. Length times width, di ba? Okay? Or else, mag-assume ka katong mga pi r squared, gano'n chuba-chuchu. Yung practical man kay thin wall, gamay na dyan kayo siya diameter ba? Okay? Muna, i-neglect na nila sa mga science books. Mo ana dayon, Assume area is equals to 1 meter squared. Makakuha kang mga resistance. But actually, kung imo na siyang tinudon, imo yun na compute dapat ang area. Since that is very negligible and impractical to compute the area, that's why you have scientific calculation that area or basis of calculation will always be equal to 1 meter squared unless specified. Something like that. Okay? It's very clear? Okay, especially mga cable, maybe ka na siya kuan. Okay? Ng mga point something. For example, schedule 42 inches diameter. Inlet diameter, schedule 12, schedule 20. Naman yung mga schedule ang diameter sa mga pipes. Okay, something like that sa mga topic of conduction, thermal conductivity, thermal conduction, convection, heat transfer pa rin siya. Okay, something like that. Or insulation topic. Okay, something like physics also, right? Okay? Sumara siya na itabo. Mag-assume na lang ka nga area nga 1. Pero ako ningon mag-assume ka permi unless specified. Okay? Mo yun na siya nga, makuha din na siya diyan. Mausap ni ang mass. Okay? Kaya wala man gihatag ang mass sa katong giingon ni mausaray given ay kahadlok makakompute sa gyud kag hit. Assume mass is equals to 100. As your basis of calculation, especially if there are choices there, A, B, C, D, and you assume 100, kung natukba dito sa choices, then that is your answer. Okay? Do not escape because there's no given at all. Nahadlok na ka kay usaray given. Usara ka temperature. Inlet pagyod o outlet. Diba? Sa heat energy, mCp dt. dt is T2 minus T1. Ang gihatag temperature initial rabagyod. Wa siya mass. Wa siya gibutang ang specific capacity. Yung hadlok rin kay usaray given. Dili jud nato siya practice ha. It can be solved because we have a lot of constant at certain operating condition normally at standard temperature and pressure. Okay? You get the point? Muna siya mahitabo. Especially in general chemistry lecture. Pero may na siya 100 guys. 100 gram na ganun chuba chuchu. Okay, mamaw na siya pero may 100 pound chuba chuchu. I-multiply din mo atong mga percent na gihatag. O ganon. Pero actually, wala ba yung nagigiven po dito? Nga na siya nga concept. Adyo na siya kalimti. Okay. Now, M3 is equals to, oh my gosh. M1 is equals to, how can we compute M1? Okay? Okay. That is the time mag-component balance ka. Okay? Components through its constituents and composition. Component means, another term for component is composition and constituent. Or the proportion. Again, component, constituent, proportion, or composition, normally expressed in percentages, by mass, by volume, by moles. But sometimes by pressure, because there's also pressure fraction, but that is rare case. Okay? Not usually expressed, but it could be applied in the non-ideal gases in, Van der Waals equation for non-ideal gas. Okay, but normally at ideal condition, meaning what I mean of ideal condition, it could be an ideal solution, ideal liquid, ideal gas, ideal fluid, ideal solution. Not only means ideal gas, not limited again. If we speak ideal, it's not limited to gas. It should be ideal solution, ideal mixture, ideal fluid, ideal liquid, and ideal solid. Most of these terminologies accepting at standard temperature and pressure at a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and a pressure of 0 degrees Celsius. So, muna siya yung timanan sa inyong brain cells. Okay? Copy? Kaya magsaligra ka, magpaabot radyo ka sa gas. Kaya practice ko yung ideal gas radyo. Ayan. Okay? Kung mauna, di ka ma-chemical engineer. Okay? Or unsa na diha. Okay, so M3 is equals to M1 minus 25. Okay, ang M1 na itong ipangita, di ba? Oh my gosh, how can I do this? Daghan ba tayo given to mga compositions? Okay, ganon. So, I have 3 declaration. The S, the solute. The O, the organic solvent. Okay, take note, it's specified, organic solvent. But treat that as a solvent only because it's only one here, your organic solvent. There's no other. Okay, so pwede na sa siya yung mong solvent, chuba-chucho. Okay, and then we have water. Water, except gini siya ang water because water is pure substance, pinaka-basic sa tanan. So, ayun na siya i-treat nga kuan kayo kay di mo na siya mulubog. Okay? Good the point? Ang kaning mulubog ka ng uban. Okay? Ano magsamok-samok ba sa mga kuan, mga illustration, ano mo na yung makapa kuan. Kaya medyo kumalibog bising anak. Wow. Okay? Ako yung gitugan. Wow. Muna trying hard yung kay ko, TH. Okay? I will never be afraid to say that. I'm TH, trying hard. That's why I study a lot. Okay? Hindi na ako ika-wow. My gosh. Imagine, I'm imagining to become a top-notcher, but I'm not intelligent. Wow. Diba? Mga ganun ng mga positive vibe. Okay. Nagkuha kong papel, guys, because I don't have blank sheet paper anymore. It's in here. Wow. Okay. M1. Guys, magsugod ka sa solute. Okay. There are three quantities here. The solute, the solvent, and the water. The extraction, not necessarily have water, ha? Kung na-solvent siya, daog na good siya. Okay? You get the point? It's not limited to water only. In this problem, water man ang gihata. Then we should follow. Okay? You get the point? Muna siya. So, S solute, O solvent, and W is water. Okay. Now, you have the raffinate. Wow. The raffinate is the solvent part. Okay, if you mix the water to the solute, something like that. And your extract will be the organic solvent. And then you can get the solute. Okay, that is extract. So, if the question in a future examination will say like this, blank is a product from extraction that always produce greater amount of the solvent. Let's say fill in the blanks. Your answer will be raffinate, even there is no choices. Things like that, you have to troubleshoot also. You have to be clever enough. Okay, for example, in extraction process, ganun siya. Okay, what is being obtained from the feed as a solute substance? Then your answer will be extract. Okay, so we mean here, guys, the solute is our extract. Why? Because we introduce also this solvent that will produce solute in the product. In here, guys, not necessarily your solute is a solid. You get the point? This is not literal. Okay, literal. Because what we learn in our general chemistry lecture, especially in the first semester, I think so, in your college, if you took up engineering courses, di ba, i-discuss sa chemistry na ang solid yun na siya Fermi. But that's not the case all the time. It's also possible that you mix two immiscible liquids and one of it is a solute and one of it is a solvent because the solute definition, it is in a lesser quantity. Okay, during your mixture. For example, in the mixture of organic solvent and water, and then the water will be in the lesser amount, meaning to say this water is your solute. And the organic that is in greater amount in the product, so organic solvent is your solvent. You get the point? Plus factor na lang yung kaayo siya, guys, that when you add this organic solvent, this is hypothetical, right? In your feed, the organic solvent, the water, plus factor na lang kaayo siya, na when you add this organic solvent, which we don't know here, and water, produce a solid substance through the chemical reaction. And that extract now will become a solute. Okay, because there are chemical reactions when you add two liquids, sometimes you produce solute. For example, it will yield a precipitate, a coagulate, a residue. These three types of solid substances that will appear somewhere in the bottom part, somewhere in the upper portion of your surface of your liquid mixture, or in the center. These are your solute na. After adding this in your feed and in the mixture combining. But not all the time like that. Usually, if you add the two liquids, the products also will be liquids. Okay? It depends on the situation, on the behavior, on the physical properties, and the chemical properties of the substances involved in your extraction, physical separation processes. Okay? Something like that. Okay, but normally, under normal circumstances, it will not produce solid, but there are other cases also. Okay? Not all the time. Okay? But only rare lang siya, pero may na-adjust talaga siya. Okay? In fairness. Okay? But only small amount. Okay? Na siya yung mga residue, o diba? Muna siya ang mga extract, chuba-chucho. Okay? Kung wala ganun na siya, then that means these two liquids are completely dissolved with each other, meaning to say they are completely invisible with each other. Then they are having a strong non-polar covalent bond. So, non-polar, right? Review also the bonding, because we are dealing here with mixture naman talaga. Mix man nato siya, di ba? So, mutunga rin sa itong brain cells ang katong mga bonding, chuba-chuchu, katong polar covalent band, non-polar covalent band, van der Waals bonding, hydrogen-hydrogen bonding, dipole-dipole bonding, mga ganon-ganon, types of bonding. Now we can determine, oh, that's a strong bonding of electrolytes. That's a weak bonding of electrolyte. Oh, that is electrolyte. Oh, that is non-electrolyte. Oh, ganon. Ma-review din mo sa imong brain cells kung saan na siyang mga strong electrolyte, kung saan naman siyang weak electrolytes. Kaya napasok naman sa imong brain cells ang theory. Okay? You got the point? Maririt ni mo siya ani. Kaya nag-mix ba yakag mga substances sa imong feed? You got the point? So yung ana ba, lawakan na itong atong understanding when we deal with a particular topic. We connect the dots. Just like politics, we connect the dots of the previous history, or just like accident history in the past is very necessary to come up with an effective investigation result so that you can come up with a reliable and effective accident report. It's just like that also in analogy. Okay? Questions so far? Okay, nothing, right? It's very clear. Okay, just object me if you want to question, and then if you try to interact, then you can also comment down in the comment section. Then I can answer that also, so that I can put in my description on the caption and the title of my uploaded videos. Okay? Ganun. Okay, now here, component balance mag-start as a solute, but before that, we need to go with the very basic about mole fraction.